Hi, I'm Blake Lively, and I'm going to be taking the BuzzFeed quiz, which iconic Blake Lively character?
In this whirlwind episode, we dive straight into the latest developments in the Baldoni versus Blake Lively saga, a story that has captivated Hollywood watchers and gossip enthusiasts alike. And while the courtrooms remain tense and the legal documents pile up, the narrative continues to twist in ways that seem almost too dramatic to be true, starting with the intricate deposition details involving Justin Baldoni, who has found himself in the crosshairs of intense scrutiny after being accused by Blake Lively of several alleged missteps, including comments regarding the appearance of wardrobe selections on set, a matter that on the surface seems trivial but has been elevated into a high-stakes legal and PR battle with far-reaching consequences for everyone involved. And as we unpack the deposition, it becomes clear that Baldoni's intentions were tied to the professional context of directing, where visual storytelling requires attention to detail, aesthetics, and character portrayal. But even with those intentions, the language used, words like hot or sexy, have been seized upon as evidence of misconduct, showing just how precarious communication can be in environments under extreme public scrutiny. And throughout this legal drama, the nuances of human interaction, apology, and accountability are repeatedly highlighted, as Baldoni recounts moments of pausing, apologizing, and attempting to respect boundaries, and in parallel, the reactions from others, including Jenny Slate and various cast members, illustrate how interpretation, perception, and context collide, creating situations where intent and reception are dangerously misaligned, and this legal theater isn't isolated. It intersects with broader Hollywood dynamics, where social media amplifies every comment and reposts by colleagues, like those from the cast of The Housemaid, demonstrate how alliances, public image, and narrative framing play into reputations, further complicating personal and professional relationships. And while the Baldoni-Lively case unfolds, another scandalous story emerges from Arizona, where Laura Owens, infamous for faking multiple pregnancies, finds herself in financial turmoil after being charged with 14 felonies, having lost substantial sums in legal fees, and now filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, claiming minimal assets against a staggering array of liabilities, a move that highlights the absurdity and chaos that can surround individuals who manipulate legal and financial systems. And the breakdown of Owens' finances reveals debts owed to attorneys, creditors, and even retail establishments, painting a picture of someone who has lived far beyond their means, a metaphorical cautionary tale of irresponsibility, while raising questions about accountability, restitution, and how society handles fraudsters and the public's fascination with these stories isn't surprising, as they touch on themes of justice, moral failure, and the spectacle of high-profile legal drama, all while intertwining with the human tendency to judge, empathize, or ridicule, creating a web of narratives that capture attention and provoke debate. And moving from the courtroom to the marketplace, the news of Ryan Reynolds and Rob Maloney selling their Wrexham stake to a U.S. private equity group exemplifies the intersection of celebrity, business, and ethical considerations, as their initial efforts had revitalized a struggling team through brand deals and exposure. But the sale raises questions about financial motives, city funding, and transparency, highlighting how private equity often prioritizes shareholder returns at the expense of community or operational stability. And this narrative threads into cultural touchstones, like the bankruptcy of Joann's and the sale of Jimmy John's, revealing how consumer brands we trust can be undermined by corporate machinations, illustrating a larger pattern of business decisions where public perception and personal attachment collide with cold financial strategy. And as we continue, the connections between these stories, Hollywood scandal, financial mismanagement, legal battles, and corporate strategy, reveal the broader societal implications of power, influence, and accountability, and they set the stage for discussions about fairness, ethics, and the human consequences of ambition and error, a thematic tapestry that spans from the minutiae of wardrobe comments on a film set to the complexities of bankruptcy filings, all while being watched, dissected, and debated by millions online, with social media comments, private messages, and viral posts serving as the modern court of public opinion, amplifying stakes and pressures far beyond the original incidents. And within this maelstrom, the audience observes patterns of behavior, apologies and corrections, financial desperation, public endorsements, and social validation, each feeding into the next, creating a narrative loop where celebrity, legality, and morality are inseparable. And as the day unfolds, additional details about Owen's creditors and liabilities further emphasize the human and systemic consequences of reckless decisions, listing amounts owed to attorneys, banks, retail stores, and even mysterious entities like No Waste Grindings, each debt representing a microcosm of failure, mismanagement, or oversight, all contributing to a portrait of someone navigating the aftermath of their own actions, and the contrast between the high stakes of Hollywood litigation and the mundane reality of unpaid bills underscores a recurring motif. That behind sensational headlines lies a complex, sometimes tragic human story, and as we transition to broader news, the political sphere intersects with personal drama, with Donald Trump offering a $12 billion aid package to farmers affected by his trade policies, illustrating how governmental decisions ripple through everyday life, forcing taxpayers to subsidize outcomes of economic missteps, a scenario that blends policy, economics, and human impact, showing that actions at the top levels of power have cascading consequences. A theme mirrored in the NFL, where the Colts' decision to call up 44-year-old Philip Rivers amid a quarterback crisis parallels narratives of unexpected responsibility, resilience, and the defiance of conventional expectations regarding age, ability, and performance. And across these stories, whether in the courts, on set, in agriculture, or on the football field, the underlying currents of accountability, perception, and human decision-making dominate, illustrating a societal fascination with how individuals navigate rules, relationships, and reputations under pressure, all while being observed, commented on, and judged by an ever-present public, creating a modern tableau where personal choices, professional actions, and social consequences intertwine, shaping not just individual narratives, but also cultural understanding of ethics, responsibility, and consequence. As the narrative shifts from the spectacle of celebrity and courtroom drama to the intricate machinations of politics and governance, we encounter the ripple effects of leadership decisions on both domestic and global scales, beginning with the controversial actions of Donald Trump, whose trade policies, particularly the imposition of tariffs, have created widespread economic disruption, demonstrating that decisions at the top levels of power reverberate through sectors far beyond immediate political control, with farmers across the United States struggling to sell their crops as a direct consequence of these tariffs, illustrating a vivid example of the unintended consequences of economic policy. And as Trump responds with a $12 billion aid package, described as a bailout, the debate over capitalism versus socialism emerges, highlighting that government intervention, while necessary to stabilize livelihoods, often comes with ideological friction, public scrutiny, and a reconsideration of what constitutes fairness, efficiency, and responsibility in economic systems. And these policy decisions do not occur in a vacuum. They intersect with individual human stories, as exemplified by Arkansas soybean farmer Scott Brown, whose personal testimony reflects the challenges of navigating financial hardship amid broader systemic failures, and the losses in corn and soybean production, reaching tens of billions, underscore the stakes involved, revealing the gap between policy intentions and practical outcomes. And this financial turbulence mirrors the personal and professional pressures experienced by public figures and ordinary citizens alike, creating a thematic bridge between celebrity courtrooms, economic bailouts, and the human experience of consequence, pressure, and adaptation, while simultaneously exposing structural vulnerabilities in trade, finance, and governance. And as Trump's policies have alienated long-standing trade partners such as China, leading them to seek alternative markets, the consequences extend beyond immediate fiscal loss, highlighting a deeper erosion of trust, reliability, and international relationships, akin to a personal betrayal in a smaller-scale scenario, where reputation, credibility, and historical behavior influence future opportunities. And, just as corporate mismanagement or bankruptcy reflects a failure of foresight and accountability, these macroeconomic shifts illustrate the fragility of interdependent systems, whether they be financial markets, international trade, or domestic agriculture, and the human costs are immediate, visible, and profound, linking the global to the individual in a continuum of cause and effect. And within this framework, the political theater surrounding the seditious six, led by Senator Mark Kelly and 5 others, illustrates the use of strategy, foresight, and ethical positioning in the face of presidential overreach. As these 6 congressional leaders, many with military or intelligence backgrounds, strategically set a trap for Trump, highlighting the intersection of ethics, law, and politics, and demonstrating the nuanced interplay of power, accountability, and strategic communication, where intentions are scrutinized, motives questioned, and outcomes contested, all under the glare of public attention and as Trump's leadership style, described by critics as impulsive, confrontational, and prone to disregard for established protocols, contrasts with the measured, legally grounded approach of Kelly and his. The broader implications for governance, military oversight, and public trust become evident, as the tension between command authority and lawful constraint reveals structural vulnerabilities within democratic institutions, paralleling the individual missteps seen in Hollywood or in financial mismanagement, suggesting that whether in personal, professional, or political domains, the principles of accountability, foresight, and ethical conduct remain paramount. And these narratives converge when considering the emotional and psychological impact of such high-pressure environments. Whether it is a director navigating social norms and workplace boundaries, a farmer attempting to recover from policy-induced losses, or a legislator balancing national security obligations against political provocations, illustrating the universality of human stress, decision-making under pressure, and the consequences of action or inaction. And as attention turns back to the cultural sphere, the NFL's decision to call upon 44-year-old Philip Rivers amid a quarterback crisis serves as an emblematic story of resilience, adaptability, and the challenge of defying societal expectations regarding age, health, and capability. With Rivers' return to active play not merely a sports anecdote but a narrative about personal fortitude, the human capacity for perseverance, and the symbolic importance of experience and leadership, demonstrating that even in physical arenas, the principles of preparation, respect for boundaries, and judgment under scrutiny apply, echoing themes seen in both legal and political spheres, and the personal dimensions of these decisions, aches, injuries, and age-related decline, provide a visceral connection to broader societal concerns about capability, longevity, and the human desire to remain relevant and effective under changing circumstances, while simultaneously engaging audiences with a story of hope, determination, and defiance against normative limitations. And when considering the NFL context, the implications extend beyond individual performance to organizational strategy, fan engagement, and legacy considerations, as the decision to bring back a retired player impacts team dynamics, public perception, and long-term planning, a microcosm of the complex interplay between human judgment, external expectations, and institutional needs. And just as Philip Rivers' return can alter career trajectories, Hall of Fame eligibility, and team performance, so too can the actions of politicians, CEOs, or celebrities redefine reputations, influence legal outcomes, and affect communities, illustrating that across domains, decisions carry both immediate and lasting consequences, and each choice is magnified when subjected to scrutiny, whether in the media, the courtroom, the trading floor, or the sports arena. And this magnification is amplified in a modern context dominated by social media, instantaneous communication, and the viral spread of information, where perceptions can override intent, rumors can reshape narratives, and public opinion exerts tangible effects on professional and personal lives. And in examining the convergence of these stories, Baldoni and Lively's legal drama, Laura Owens' financial collapse, Trump's trade policies, the seditious Six strategic maneuvering, and Rivers' return to football, a recurring pattern emerges: the interplay of human agency, accountability, and perception, under pressure, with each narrative demonstrating that outcomes are contingent upon context, ethical consideration, timing, and the ability to navigate complex interpersonal and institutional frameworks. And the lessons extend to broader societal concerns, including the importance of financial literacy, ethical leadership, communication clarity, adaptability, and resilience, as the ripple effects of individual or systemic missteps impact not only those directly involved but also surrounding communities, organizations, and stakeholders. And these converging storylines underscore the fragility of reputation, the consequences of overreach, the potential for recovery and redemption, and the ever-present scrutiny of external observers, highlighting the delicate balance between power, responsibility, and human fallibility. And as we synthesize these diverse yet thematically connected narratives, the importance of context, empathy, foresight, and strategic thinking becomes clear, demonstrating that whether navigating Hollywood disputes, financial insolvency, political crises, or professional sports, success and survival hinge upon a nuanced understanding of human behavior, ethical constraints, and societal expectations, and in reflecting upon these narratives, one observes the recurring motifs of accountability, consequence, adaptation, resilience, and the tension between public perception and private intention, reminding us that across domains, the fundamental principles of judgment, responsibility, and foresight are universally applicable, and while the individual stories, from the courtroom and the director's chair, to the farming fields, political chambers, and football stadiums, may differ in scale and specificity, they collectively illustrate the interconnectedness of human experience, the inevitability of scrutiny, and the enduring relevance of ethical conduct. And as we close this chapter of narrative analysis, it becomes evident that understanding these stories requires not merely attention to the sensational or the immediate, but a deeper comprehension of the systemic forces, personal choices, and ethical frameworks that drive outcomes, shaping the lives of those involved and offering lessons for broader audiences, who, in observing, interpreting, and learning from these narratives, are themselves engaged in a continuous process of ethical evaluation, cultural comprehension, and human empathy, bridging the gap between spectacle and substance, drama and consequence, and ultimately, between individual action and societal impact, creating a comprehensive tableau where celebrity, politics, finance, and sport intersect, revealing the complex, multifaceted, and endlessly instructive nature of human behavior, decision-making, and accountability. And in examining the lessons embedded in these stories, from Baldoni's navigation of professional boundaries, Owen's fiscal irresponsibility, Trump's policy-induced economic disruptions, the seditious Sixth strategic foresight, to Rivers' defiance of age and expectation, one observes a consistent imperative. That choices matter, intentions intersect with perception, and outcomes are influenced by context, resilience, and the capacity for adaptation, providing a modern-day compendium of caution, insight, and exemplars for audiences seeking to understand the interplay between human action, ethical responsibility, and societal consequences. And as we reflect on these narratives in totality, it becomes increasingly apparent that the threads connecting celebrity, legal battles, political maneuvering, and athletic excellence reveal not only the vulnerabilities inherent in human systems but also the potential for growth, redemption, and informed decision-making, offering a panoramic view of contemporary life where every action carries weight, every choice has consequence, and the intersection of personal ambition, public scrutiny, and ethical responsibility defines the trajectory of outcomes across individual, organizational, and societal spheres, a lesson both timeless and urgently relevant in understanding the intricate dance between power, accountability, and human endeavor across the modern landscape of celebrity, governance, finance, and professional achievement, and thus, these stories, while seemingly disparate, coalesce into a comprehensive narrative of human agency, consequence, and resilience, leaving audiences not only informed but also reminded of the profound impact that context, ethics, foresight, and adaptability hold in shaping both individual destinies. Collective experience, and as we bring this analysis to a close, the overarching theme is clear. That whether in courts, on sets, in fields, in the halls of government, or on the gridiron, the principles of responsibility, perception, and consequence remain universal, binding together these diverse narratives into a cohesive lesson on the importance of mindful action, careful communication, ethical conduct, and the resilience necessary to navigate the ever-present pressures of modern life. And, in this light, the stories of Baldoni, Lively, Owens, Trump, Kelly, and Rivers, while individually compelling, collectively offer a masterclass in the complexity, unpredictability, and enduring relevance of human decision-making, reputation management, and the profound interplay of personal choices with public consequence, creating a mosaic of modern experience that is at once cautionary, instructive, and emblematic of the challenges and responsibilities inherent in navigating contemporary social, political, and professional landscapes.